The first Formula One car of Mercedes' post-Lewis Hamilton era has arrived, and there's a lot riding on it. The team is still navigating a challenging period of readjustment, with the golden days of multiple championships feeling like a distant memory. By its own admission, Mercedes has been trapped in a doom cycle of troubleshooting inconsistent and problematic cars. Now, with the most successful and high-profile driver in both F1 and Mercedes history leaving for Ferrari, 2025 marks a reset. Year zero for the Silver Arrows without Hamilton. Hamilton himself has expressed feeling invigorated by the switch, and Mercedes will be hoping it can find its own resurgence without him. Despite George Russell's growing confidence and late 2024 success, securing a win, 2 pole positions, and 3 front-row starts in the final 4 races, Mercedes still has much to prove. Mercedes has unveiled its 2025 challenger, the W16, through official studio imagery ahead of a shakedown test in Bahrain just before preseason testing. Technical director James Allison has emphasized that the primary development focus has been eliminating the slow-speed understeer that plagued the 2024 car. Mercedes describes the new design as a revamp with significant modifications across the board, including changes to every aerodynamic surface, a redesigned front suspension, and further refinements under the skin to address the previous car's biggest shortcomings. Unlike some teams that opted for vague digital renders, Mercedes has released genuine studio photography, providing a clear look at key changes. One of the most striking differences is in the car's topside aerodynamics. The side pods, a long-standing challenge in this ground effect era, have undergone another transformation. Having moved away from the heavily criticized zero-pod concept of 2022 and early 2023, Mercedes adopted a more conventional P-shaped inlet. Now it appears to have taken inspiration from Red Bull, featuring a split horizontal and vertical T-shaped inlet. The side pod design itself has evolved, with cooling elements seemingly repositioned to allow for a more aggressive undercut and a steeper ramp along the top side. This adjustment aims to enhance airflow to the powerful underfloor, improving overall aerodynamic efficiency. The amount of exposed floor area suggests Mercedes, like most teams, has optimized its cooling setup, benefiting from an improved understanding of the hybrid engine's heat rejection requirements. If executed correctly, this should translate into a straight-line speed boost without overburdening the engine. At the rear, refinements to the cooling layout are evident, with the engine cover's cannon structures tapering more aggressively. The bodywork profile now channels more airflow toward the beam wing, diffuser, and upper wing, enhancing aerodynamic performance. In terms of suspension and wings, there are no radical departures from Mercedes' recent designs. The front wing, which previously featured missing sections on the 2 rearmost elements, has returned to a more conventional structure. The latest design appears to load the front wing more at low speeds, potentially improving front-end grip, but at the possible cost of airflow consistency at high speeds. Mercedes has retained its pushrod suspension setup from 2024, with slight adjustments to anti-lift geometry at the rear. This change is likely aimed at stabilizing the car under heavy braking and controlling platform dynamics at low-ride heights, critical factors in ensuring better balance and reducing the rear tire overheating that plagued last season. While the floor and rear wing resemble the final 2024 spec, these components are easily interchangeable, meaning updates can be expected when the car hits the track for preseason testing. Mercedes believes a significant shift in its development philosophy for 2025 will help it avoid the pitfalls that have hindered recent campaigns. Though 2024 was its most successful year in the ground effect era in terms of race wins, the season was still marked by inconsistencies. Both Hamilton and Russell struggled with balance issues, particularly in qualifying, and frequently suffered from rear tire overheating. This flaw ironically made Mercedes dominant in the freezing conditions of the Las Vegas Grand Prix, but left them exposed in most other races. With 2026 bringing sweeping regulation changes, 2025 represents one final opportunity for teams to maximize performance under the current rules. For Mercedes, this season isn't just about competing, it's about proving it can still be a championship-caliber team in the post-Hamilton era. George Russell has shed light on a fresh approach Mercedes is taking with its revised W6, calling the changes significant and emphasizing that the team has been more disciplined in its overhaul compared to previous seasons. According to Russell, past attempts to solve existing issues often created new problems, what he describes as a doom cycle that Mercedes kept falling into. Elaborating on this trap, Russell explained that Mercedes had previously been too focused on addressing specific problems without considering potential unintended consequences. Now, instead of zeroing in on one major flaw, the team is adopting a more forward-thinking strategy to avoid repeating past mistakes. From what Russell has shared during preseason, it's clear that, like all teams in this challenging ground effect era, Mercedes has struggled to make its cars faster without introducing fundamental balance issues. While McLaren made strides last season by developing a flexible front wing that improved its setup window, it still wasn't enough for Mercedes to be a consistent victory threat across different track conditions. Russell believes Mercedes is still playing catch-up in its understanding of the regulations, largely due to the lasting effects of porpoising on its original 2022 ground effect car. That issue took 18 months to fully resolve, masking deeper design flaws, particularly in the suspension. However, fixing that problem introduced new balance challenges, a reminder of how difficult it is to develop within F1's budget cap and restricted aerodynamic testing. Beyond McLaren, most top teams have encountered unexpected issues with upgrades, sometimes taking months to resolve. As Russell puts it, sometimes something works, and you don't really know why. And sometimes something doesn't work and you don't really know why. He remains hopeful that the significant changes in Mercedes' 2025 car will lead to progress on track, but acknowledges that the real test will come during the W6's debut in Bahrain. Mercedes has talked up its improvements in each of the past 3 seasons, yet the results have rarely lived up to expectations. In previous years, Russell said the team knew within the first 5 laps of testing whether it would be a title contender or not. The challenge now is to finally break that pattern. The 2025 season marks a major shift for Mercedes as the team enters the post-Hamilton era with an entirely new driver dynamic. Replacing one of F1's most successful and experienced drivers, the team has promoted teenage rookie Kimi Antonelli to partner Russell. Antonelli is regarded as one of the most exciting young talents in motorsport, and Mercedes has high expectations for his speed and potential. However, his lack of experience leaves room for rookie mistakes. This was evident at last year's Italian Grand Prix when his first official F1 weekend appearance in free practice ended with a heavy crash at the final corner after just a few laps. Team boss Toto Wolff has publicly compared Antonelli to Max Verstappen, calling him the new Verstappen. But it's still a bold move to place an 18-year-old directly into the factory Mercedes team. Unlike Verstappen, who debuted at Red Bull's junior team, or Russell, who gained experience at Williams, Antonelli is being thrown straight into a top team without an F1 apprenticeship. The last time a rookie faced such a challenging debut was arguably Lewis Hamilton with McLaren in 2007. To prepare Antonelli, Mercedes has maximized his testing mileage in older F1 cars. He spent last year running laps in the troublesome 2022 car and even logged extra mileage in a 2020 car at the start of 2025, taking advantage of the testing regulations before the new 1,000-kilometer cap on 2-year-old cars takes effect. With Antonelli still adapting, the onus will be on Russell to establish himself as the clear team leader. He enters 2025 on the back of a strong 2024 campaign, where he comprehensively outqualified Hamilton and ranked 4th in the race's end-of-season driver rankings.